Look, I don't know why I have to do this. I'm not even Irish. Or Christian. Or a beer drinker. I'm more of a virgin's blood kind of gal. I don't care what you say. There is nothing you can do to make me participate in a holiday that has absolutely nothing to do with me. Is that a killer leprechaun? Okay, fine. You didn't have to try so hard. Sheesh. Leprechaun is a 1993 horror film starring Warwick Davis as the villain and some no-name Jennifer Aniston as the lead. Seriously, I think this is the only horror movie she's ever done. Not a very impressive resume, if you ask me. But that's not important. What's important is, what green beer was Mark Jones sipping to come up with this idea in the first place? Reportedly, Jones was inspired to make a low-budget horror film after he watched a Lucky Charms commercial. Okay. This guy was definitely enjoying something green, and I'm not convinced it was beer. Initially, he wanted the film to be a straight-out horror movie, with the leprechaun in question being a bloodthirsty, vengeful monster. And if you want to see that movie, don't worry, they made it. It's called Leprechaun Origin, and it has a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. That is only the second lowest rating of any movie I've ever discussed on this channel. It only loses to Sleepaway Camp 4, The Survivor, because that one isn't even enough of a movie to warrant a Rotten Tomatoes page. Seriously, I will never forgive or forget that atrocity of a film. But anyway, back to Leprechaun. Fortunately, when Warwick Davis came on board, excited for the opportunity to play against type after Willow, he was the one that suggested turning the film into a horror comedy. And thank God for that, because, Leprechaun Origins. This movie plays on the ridiculousness of a demonic Lucky Charms mascot. But at the same time, it doesn't play down the gore, even going back to do reshoots when they discovered that, gore was good. Honestly, the main reason why I bring that up is because it's the opposite of the story I'm used to hearing, of studios forcing cuts to eliminate gore. And maybe that's part of the reason why this movie failed as hard as it did. Maybe the gore just made it feel too much like a low-budget horror film for audiences to take it seriously. Or maybe audiences couldn't take it seriously because it's about a killer leprechaun. I don't know, let's take a look. So the movie opens up with Irish McIrishton, his name is actually Daniel O'Grady, but you decide which one sounds better, coming back from Ireland with a bag of gold he found. He's still celebrating his newfound riches when he discovers that the leprechaun who owns the gold followed him back to America and murdered his wife. McIrishton manages to trap the leprechaun in a crate. But before he can destroy him completely, he, has a stroke. Gotta hate those poorly timed strokes, am I right? Fast forward 10 years, Jennifer Aniston and her dad are moving into the old McIrishton residence. And helping them move in is Handsome McHandsomey, his friend Ozzy, and this random child who just tags along while they work. We watch them dick around for a little bit, and it's during this time that we're introduced to what I think is supposed to be a theme for the movie. You see, Jennifer Aniston doesn't want to live here because it's dirty and gross, which prompts everyone around her to rant about how she, shouldn't take money for granted. And don't get me wrong, you probably would be sleeping in dirty, gross places if you couldn't afford anything else. But why would you if you didn't have to? That's like saying that you should just get used to starving, even though you can totally afford food. But I guess the way she whines about it is a little annoying, so we'll just side with the people telling her that there's more to life than money. While moving them in, Ozzy accidentally accidentally frees the leprechaun, and shortly after that, he discovers a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow. Ozzy and Random Child agree to take the gold because, it's gold. Who wouldn't? Nah, I'm just kidding. The real reason why they take the gold is because Random Child thinks that they can use it to get Ozzy in operation to fix his brain and make him smarter. And then Ozzy swallows a gold coin. You know, I would point out that none of this would have happened if it wasn't for Ozzy, but I kind of feel bad for the guy, considering he has a 10-year-old telling him that he needs an operation to make him competent. I think you can probably guess the plot to the rest of this movie, considering it's just what would happen if the Lucky Charms mascot decided that he was tired of kids stealing his shit. And I know what you're probably thinking. Why don't they just give the gold back? Well, they do. It takes them a little bit because the leprechaun is just really bad at asking for things. He hasn't figured out that whole honey, flies, vinegar thing yet. But they do eventually give him his gold back. Except, you're forgetting about one thing. What about the gold coin in Ozzy's belly? Unless Jennifer Aniston is willing to sully that perfect manicure by ripping Ozzy open and digging the gold coin out herself, there really isn't much they can do to stop this. At some point, Jennifer Aniston does manage to get away by throwing shoes at him. Shoes that he must compulsively shine. Hey, I figured out the best way to defeat Leprechaun. Just take him to the mall. There is no way that he can kill anyone with all of those shoes around. Jennifer Aniston then heads to the nursing home to pay old man McIrishton a visit, which is really nice of her, you know? I just really doubt that an Irish immigrant widower who had a stroke 10 years prior is receiving many visits these days. It's here that she discovers that the only way to kill a leprechaun is with a 4-leaf clover. Wait, did I say 4-leaf clover? I meant by tossing him down a well, dousing the well in gasoline, and then exploding the whole thing, because that's what they actually end up doing. Oh, and did I mention that the leprechaun rides a tricycle throughout the movie? And murders someone by jumping on them with a pogo stick? I'm not even reviewing the movie at this point. I'm just sitting here in awe at the absolute insanity that is every scene in this movie. And yet, I still don't think that I would rank this movie as one of my favorites. I mean, it's good, a solid 6 out of 10 magically delicious marshmallow pieces for sure. But as much as this movie has some amazing moments, the parts in between them are just really dry. The only good actor in this thing is Warwick Davis, who is given the role everything he's got. But everyone else is just played way too straight and not particularly well either. Honestly, I wasn't entirely sold on this movie until I saw its sequels. Something that I had to be convinced to do, but once I did, I was so happy. Obviously, they're cheesier than the first movie, and they do include scenes like this, and this, and this. But this movie was missing one very important ingredient, and that is a universe that matches the ridiculousness of the leprechaun himself. Without that, you're just getting a standard slasher movie with a villain that you can't take seriously. It was only upon seeing the sequels that I was able to appreciate the comedy behind this concept. Not to mention the brilliance that is Warwick Davis in this role. Seriously, he's approaching Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger levels. And you guys know how much I love Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger. I might go into further detail on my opinion of the sequels at a later date. But for now, suffice it to say that this first movie is nothing more than an okay first entry into a pretty fun, pretty dumb horror comedy franchise. Except for Leprechaun Origins. Fuck it, Leprechaun Origins. Make sure to subscribe to this channel and click that little bell thingy to get notified. I try to upload at least once a week, and I've got some new exciting content coming out soon, including a review for the 2019 horror film Ready or Not that you won't want to miss. Give this video a like for the hell of it, and while you're down there, why don't you leave me a comment? Let me know what your plans for St. Patrick's Day are. It's gonna be a whole comment section of getting drunk and watching Leprechaun, isn't it? Thank you so much for watching, my pets. Love you. But anyway, back to Leprechaun. I told myself I wouldn't wear this dress again after I got this many tattoos. Too much pattern. I'm pattern on pattern. But anyway, back to Leprechaun.